You're listening to Crazy Shit in Real Estate. You'll be amazed at all these wild but true situations that others have found themselves in. Because on this show, you'll hear uncensored, unbelievable stories from the world of real estate. I'm Leigh Brown. Let's dive right in.
I'm Leigh Brown. This is Crazy Shit in Real Estate, and today's story is a little bit different because I got Mike Lovelace with us from Eastern North Carolina, and he's going to give you a redemption story that actually has some ideas for some of you. So I hope you're ready to enjoy this conversation. I'll see you on the other side.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Well, I'm awake.
That's a step in the right direction.
That's about as far as it's going to go right now.
You don't need an extra cup of coffee to get going? That's a big one.
Nah. Yeah, it's a double. Yes, ma'am. Sure is.
Well, it's Tuesday, so obviously you need a double on a Tuesday.
No, I need a triple on Tuesday. Doubles for Monday.
Well,
Your office looks so much nicer than mine.
Well, that's because all the mess is on this side, and you can't see that with the camera. I keep it clean behind me.
Yeah. Well, back there is clean. My desk looks like it's a good thing you can't see it. You wonder how in the world I find anything.
Well, if you're like my dad, he kept his desk messy so that only he knew where things were.
That's exactly right.
His filing system.
That's exactly right. Your dad must be a genius.
That's right. He is a genius. And when I joined him in the business 25 years ago, the first thing I had to do was clean up those piles because I couldn't stand it. And I'd find a lead over here and a phone number there. And he'd say, "Oh, yeah, I wonder where that phone number went. Now it's in this pile."
I know where mine are at. Does your dad, or did he still keep cards for everybody?
Oh, I mean, I keep cards. I love cards.
Yeah, me too.
On the desk.
I have stacks and stacks.
I hope they never go away because I really judge people based on their cards. I'll have a hard time judging with the electronic stuff. I just dropped a good one too. Let's see. Oh, that was not even a card. That's these little happy notes people stick in their business cards. It says, "I can no other answer make but thanks and thanks, William Shakespeare." See, that's a good way to start a Tuesday.
Very good. Very good.
Tell my audience where you're located. Tell them how long you've been in and around real estate. Give them the little picture of who Mike is.
A 30-second elevator. Okay.
Or even 40 because we're in real estate, so you can go long.
Let's see. This time, I'm in for 6 years. Previous to this, I was licensed for 10 years in the state of New Jersey. Got my first license 82, and I left real estate then somewhere between 92 and 93. I don't have that down exactly. And New Jersey's so great with their records. I tried to find out, and they said, "Well, that's so long ago. We don't keep records that far back." I'm like, "What? Really? That's 20 years." Yeah. Anyway, so most of the time before all of that, I was a techie. I still am a techie. I've worked for some of the big companies. You were in stocks and trading for a while, so I worked at Morgan Guarantee and Trust before they bought Chase. I worked for Credit Suisse, First Boston, and I worked for the Philadelphia Stock Exchange. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, kind of. Except to join the stock exchange, I had to sign what was it called? It was a voluntary something that said I would not trade anything on the stock exchange. Anyone who worked there, especially me, we were forbidden to trade by the SEC. I was the trading systems administrator, and so I could go in and make changes after the fact or before the fact. So they wanted to make sure that I wouldn't go in there and try to steal stuff like some other people I might know.
So basically, you had more restrictions than our congressional people do.
Oh yeah, That's that. They may be some they may be some of those other people I was referring to. Not really, but
I mean,
you
if
know,
anybody needs to have restrictions on their trading activity, I think it's the people who are elected in our government. But
yeah,
I'm
who might
lazy, obviously.
nothing like having insider trading secrets.
They would never use it though. They're so benevolent and they're
Oh
just
yeah,
so thoughtful leaders.
especially most of our Democrats.
I mean, we won't name names, but I do love following the Nancy Pelosi stock tracker on Twitter because you can make a really great return just by following her trades. I mean, it's public information.
Yes, you can. You can do just fine. Of course, I don't have the kind of money to put down that she does.
Well, but you have to start somewhere, you see. To start by getting elected and then do whatever you want, which is how they wind up with big accounts. And by the way, it is both sides of the aisle. And if you're the person who's watching this and you're thinking we're just being facetious, go to Twitter or X and follow the account Unusual Whales, which will show you all of those elected officials and how their numbers lay out. And you'll see a great amount of blue and red, and you'll be appalled. So after you pause and go look at that, you can come back over here and talk to me and Mike some more. So is that what you did in your in-between time between 92 or 3 and 2004 or 5?
Actually, it was before then and after that. After 92, I started to semi-retire. Uh, we were still living in New Jersey at the time, and my wife was still working in Philly. We lived down south in the south part of New Jersey. So, but then our family began to coalesce here in North Carolina. Our two sons moved here. Our youngest daughter moved to follow them. And then the oldest daughter and her husband, they were living in Georgia at the time. And they said he was going to go talk to some people here in North Carolina. So to us, it looked like we were going to get the family together in North Carolina. So we moved down here. And it
We always
almost,
say the moving trucks come down full and go back empty. And it sounds like your whole family was part of that parade.
almost. The oldest daughter, the one in North Carolina didn't take, and they wound up going to Vermont.
Oh,
Yeah, so that was a little interesting. The
but you can go see her and go skiing.
no, they're no longer there in Vermont. They've quit. They left there already, and they are now in Tennessee, place I dearly love. My whole family on my daddy's side are all from Tennessee. I have many relatives in Tennessee. Last reunion we had was almost 200 people. Yeah, kind of big. There were 13 in my daddy's family, and 11 of them lived to be adults. So my mom and daddy they came up in the Depression. So things were a little bit hard, and we got taught some really different kinds of lessons growing up than what we teach our kids and our grandkids learn today. Anyway.
So I'm always fascinated by that because my mom's the youngest of 8. And so my grandparents could remember the Spanish flu from the first pandemic around when it was actually real, and they had all the quarantines in houses. They remembered the notices. They remembered the Depression, all of those things. And when you look at the span of that many kids, just like in your family, it's kind of wild how many different life things happen in one family reunion and what can be talked about. So for my listeners that are younger, so we'll just say the millennials and the Gen Zs, what to you was striking about the Depression era activities and habits of your grandparents? What do you remember them doing that stuck out to you?
Let's see. Don't waste water. I mean, even though it's coming out of the faucet, you don't waste water because you don't know when you're going to always have good drinking water. Turn the lights off all the time. If you're not in that room, that light doesn't need to be on. Let's
hang on a minute. Wait a minute. You had Tennessee family. Was it turn the lights off or cut the lights off? Because in my family in North Carolina, it's cut the lights off. My husband and I argue about this all the time because he says turn them and I say cut them. What do you say?
We say both.
Oh, no, Mike. Y'all are very confused.
I'm sorry. We are because, Daddy couldn't find work in Tennessee. And so he moved the family up to Chicago. So I grew up outside of Chicago. So I'm
everywhere.
I'm really mixed up. Well, when I was in the service, when I got married, we moved to California. lived there for a few years. From California, we moved back to Chicago. And then from Chicago, we moved to New Jersey. I actually have spent the greatest part of my life in New Jersey.
Would you call it the greatest or the
The
biggest?
longest.
I'm just kidding, New Jersey people, but not really. But I'm just got to play because you all come here. All the Morristown people come to Charlotte. That's the town that has a direct pipeline to Charlotte, which is interesting.
Yes. Yeah. When I was in New Jersey, I was working for a company that created and sold pre-CAD CAM equipment to a lot of manufacturing companies. And so I got to go out and install this stuff and fix it when it broke. And I saw things that you had to have clearance to get into, and you were searched and x-rayed to make sure you got in and make sure when you came out. I knew where things were being built that most people didn't even know were being built there. So, and then later on, I worked for Lockheed Martin in New Jersey as well. And I had to sign a many year NDA with them, which I think is just now expired. 2025. Yeah, it expires this year.
So, are you going to expose some secrets soon? Now that your NDA is expiring, you're going to release it right along with the Kennedy files when?
Yeah, right. Stuff I wasn't supposed to talk about. Somebody's already been talking about it, and they don't care about the NDAs, so it's no big deal. I'm just not going to do it because I'm not that kind of person. I say I'm going to do something, I do it.
Well, a man's word used to be his bond, and I don't believe that that's a trait that's been handed down from generation to generation anymore, to be honest.
I know. And there aren't as many people who adhere to what do I want? Being upstanding and whatnot, that try to look out for other people, which is what I still try to do, even though it may cost me something.
Well, real estate actually gives us the perfect profession for doing that. And the people who are successful in this business have a very clear focus on getting the people they serve what they want. So they're looking out for somebody else's best interest. It's always portrayed as a very selfish profession, but in reality, it's one of the least selfish professions because you sometimes tell people, don't buy this, don't sell this, we have to sort this out. And you're doing things and sharing knowledge that they don't have access to so that they have a better position. So when you landed in real estate the second time, when you came back in, why did you come back to real estate? What was attractive to you? Because that was, of course, at the end of the, that's at the end of the recession era. So everybody was army crawling back out of the real estate market. Why'd you come back in?
Basically, I got tired of being retired. I was really bored. Plus, I needed a little bit of extra cash. No matter how well you plan for retirement, it doesn't work out all that well. Our retirement accounts got hit twice, so we retired with much less than even half of what we thought we were going to have, or what we even at once had. The biggest hit came 9/11. We lost more than half 9/11. Anyway, that's really not why I'm here. We started to get on that track of why I'm here and what I wanted to tell you about.
Well, tell me what you want to talk about.
Well, and it's really something that, you said that in real estate, realtors really, we have, or at least we should have, some type of a duty to the people that we serve. And we really should be trying to serve them, not ourselves. So when I got back into real estate, it was 2019. And it was maybe had my license for 2 months. And an elder from our church came to me and he said, "Michael, did you just get your real estate license?" I said, "Yes, sir. Sure did." He goes, "Well, there's this one area, just the other side of where we live. I walk the daughter's dog over there, and there's this house. It's just sitting there. It looks terrible. Weeds and everything grown up around it. The roof's caved in, and it just looks sad. You ought to go over there and take a look at it and see what you can do about it." I'm like, "Okay." I went over there, and of course I looked at it and knew exactly what I had to do. No, no, no one could know that. So I did some investigating. I went and talked to, saw a woman across the street go into her house. So I figured she's probably home. I went up and I started talking to her, and she said that the house had been abandoned 15 years ago.
Oh.
And she and a few other neighbors had tried to get something done. They wrote letters to the county commissioners and everything else. And her voice was something in the back of my mind said I should know this person. Turned out she was a local radio talk show host. So, but anyway, she had tried. Others had tried. The county had sent people out to inspect the house more than once, and they even sent people to mow the lawn now and then. It was that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking into it, and I found out the story behind it, which is kind of interesting. The couple who lived there, the husband was an attorney in town, and his wife worked at the hospital. Greenville has our beautiful East Carolina University hospital system here. And she had gotten caught having problems with drugs in the hospital. And she was not just fired, she was sent to jail. So that just kind of, it rocked his world. They had two beautiful young daughters. He got his mother to come in and live with him for a while. And one day at breakfast, he just said, "That's it. I can't live here anymore." Grabbed the kids and his mother and left. As a matter of fact, left dishes on the table, left dishes in the sink, left the vacuum cleaner in the study up front, and just, I mean, really just up and left. So over the years, as I said, people had tried to do all kinds of things and just hadn't had any luck.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of beside myself. I mean, I consider myself maybe at least average intelligence. Figured out, might be able to figure something else out, but took me a while. I found after some research, excuse me for a minute, I'm starting to get sleepy there.
Good plug.
I was on a trip in Tennessee, as I said before, a place I'd dearly love to go. And I had an afternoon of nothing to do, so I just got on a laptop and just started going all over the place, following rabbit holes.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that some things had been done to other places by passing around. Oh, yeah. Now I forgot what it's called. Let's see. What is it called? I have one right here. It's called a petition. Okay. So,
do you have a petition laying on your desk? You might be the only person I've ever met that has a petition laying around. That's next level prepared, Mike. I just got to say.
And this is the
obviously in big print too for our age group.
So if you're in real estate and you're listening to this podcast or watching it and thinking, man, I need some more Leigh Brown answers in my life. Well, guess what, friends? I have a new program that is launching right now called Answers.Real Estate, where I will give you every bit of insight I have to help you grow your real estate business, help you better respond to consumers, to provide a more excellent real estate experience, so that the next time you land on crazy shit in real estate, you'll have a better solution to whatever you ran into. Answers.Real Estate. There are monthly plans available. You will love it. Get your coaching. Sign up with me today.
I probably should have consulted an attorney, but I didn't. I read everybody else's online and I put mine together. And then I used real estate tools and got a map and addresses and names of owners of all the properties in that subdivision. And then I copied off the petition itself, and I created a signature list and page, and I went house to house. I talked to everybody in that subdivision, even the people who weren't living there anymore. I found them and I talked to them. I got everybody. Well, I didn't get everybody to sign, I got about 98% of them to sign, though.
Wow.
Most of them said, we've had this happen before. People have come around and tried to do that. And then they cited the woman who lived across the street who actually did try to do that before. But I guess her schedule was fuller than mine and she didn't get to everybody. They said, if you do it, it'll be a miracle if you get anything done at all. So I did, again, even though I had all these signatures and everything and talked to everybody, found out that the county commissioners would not accept anything unless it was notarized. And I'm like, what? How in the world am I going to notarize this? I mean, I didn't carry a notary in my back pocket to notarize everybody's signature. I came up with the idea that I could create my own page to, what was the word I wanted was, anyway, no, that I would swear and give an affidavit that I was present and personally saw and witnessed all the signatures attached to the petition. And it was a little more wordy than that, but and then I had a notary notarize me that I signed it and I said this. So I waited and found out when the county commissioner board of commissioners was meeting, and I got my name put on the docket so that evening when they got to calling people from the floor, they came to me and they were not prepared. Well, there were two of them on the board who were prepared. The attorney for the commissioners and the engineer for the county. They both
Not fair.
no, not the rest of them. Nope.
Way to go, Pitt County. Way to show up. Wait.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. I
That's not
had-
just it.
I had big packages for everybody. Everybody got a package that had the original petition, had the map showing all the houses and the list of all the signatures and my notarized affidavit. And it took me, I didn't go through it all. I just said, this is what I'm presenting. The crux of this is about this one property, and we would like to have something done. The people that signed this petition really want to see their neighborhood fixed.
Yes.
All right. And I was going along the idea that, it was unsafe. Homeless people had been in and out of there constantly, and teenage kids did what teenage kids do, when they find a place they can hang out in. So I was fortunate that at that very meeting, there happened to be a guy from Channel 12 there, and he caught me on the way out. He said, "Hey, this sounds like an interesting story. Do you mind if we meet tomorrow and over at this property and I ask you some questions and put you on tape?" And I said, "No, that's fine." So I went there. He asked me the questions. I told him, I said, nothing terrible has happened yet, but this is an accident waiting to happen. When somebody gets hurt really bad, who's going to take care of it? Where are they going to go? So he put that on and things started to happen. Because once it got out on the news and the public got wind of it, the commissioner said, maybe we ought to do something. So again, we had the inspectors from the code enforcement office for the county. They came out, they did another inspection, and then they held a meeting, and they got the owner of this house to that meeting. He was still in town. I'll say I didn't know this at the time, but he had lost his license. He was disbarred because of, I'm sure, it was very traumatizing to him what had happened and his family too. But in the years following that, he had remarried and he was working as a paralegal for a family law group in town. But he was there, and the attorney for the county was there, as well as the engineer and the inspection people. And they said, well, this is we're not going to argue this. Basically, we've we've put an order out to have this property demolished. And sir, I pointed to the owner, said, you were going to have to pay for the demolition. I said, oh, and by the way, well, we now give you this. And they handed him paper and said, within 7 days, we need this property secured. All windows and doors must be boarded up, and it must be safe to keep people from entering this property. And he's like, what am I going to do? I don't know. He was really beside himself. And I kind of leaned over across from somebody else, and I said, sir, I called him by his name, let me talk to me after we get out of this meeting. So after we got out of the meeting, he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, if you'd let me, okay, I think I can help. I know some people that will come out and put the plywood over the doors. We'll get it all sealed up for you. And before we even do it, I'll call you and let you know what the cost is going to be. As a matter of fact, if they give me a written thing, I'll send it to you. They said, oh, that would be great. And they said, and then I said, after that, we can talk. You know, I think it's going to cost some, for demolition. I know some people. I can probably get some bids on demolition for you as well. He said, oh, that would be great. Thank you so much. So did what I said I was going to do. I got our local handyman guys out there, and I don't know, 10 sheets of plywood and guns and screw guns and screws, and we got that place closed up. I mean, it was really wide open. The front door was left open all the time. Right. Like I said, the roof had caved in, not completely. There was a nice big hole in it over the beautiful winding staircase that went up. I mean, this was a little over 4,000 square foot home, 4-bedroom, 2 floors, and it was just on a full acre of land. And I'm sure in the beginning, this was just beautiful, beautiful home. So got that taken care of. And then I got some demolition companies come out and give us some estimates. Estimates were anywhere from 30 to 50,000 for the full demo. I mean, raising it down to the ground and cleaning it up so that it was just an open field. In between that, I also knew some people who did restoration and did some building and developments. And so I talked to one of them, and he said, I'd like to come and see that. And I said, okay. And I called the owner, and I said, I've got somebody who might be interested in helping you get out of this mess. Can I bring him over to the property to take a look at it? He said, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Have him come over. So we went over and looked at it, and he goes, man, this is a shame. They're going to tear this down. I said, yeah, it is. Do you think you can do something with it? He said, yeah, I'll get back to you today. He did. He got back to me that day. He said, okay, $50,000 to demo it. The property is only worth about $45,000 as a piece of land.
Wow.
He said, that's upside down. Tell you what, offer him $20,000 cash the day of his next hearing, and I'll take the property over, and I'll get them to stay the demolition on this property, and I'll take it off his hands, and he'll be done with it. I said, okay. So I made him the offer over the phone, and I asked him, I said, just to be sure, I see in the deeds here gone online that your wife has given you a quit claim deed on the property, so you own it free and clear by yourself. He said, yeah, but I am married again. Does that count? I said, yes, sir, it does. Your current wife now has rights to this property as well. You either need to get her to quit claim it, or she'll have to, sign all the same paperwork that you do. And he said, oh, okay, I'll take care of it. And so I mentioned before he worked for family law. Mm-hmm. Guess what he sent me? What do people who are going through a divorce usually use?
I mean, we see free trader agreement. Was it a free trader?
He sent me a free trader agreement that his current wife had signed. They weren't getting divorced, but it's still a legal document. I asked another closing attorney that I knew and worked for. He said, it's highly unusual, but you know what? they'll probably accept it.
Right. I mean, it is unusual. And I should insert an asterisk here. If you're a viewer or listener in another state, you should always talk to your legal counsel about things that we talk about in North Carolina and see if there's an application in your state, because we're not community property, but we are tenants by the entireties. Your state may or may not have free trader agreements, which is what allows one side of a legally married couple to conduct items like real estate. And so anyway, there's your asterisk. So carry on. So he gets a free trader from his new wife.
Yep. And so we go, and it's the week after New Year's. I forgot to mention that the first meeting was 2 or 3 days before Christmas.
Sounds
So,
about right.
yeah. So it's been just about 2 weeks now. And so we have the second meeting, and he signs everything over. He sells the property for $20,000, and I get my commission. Not out of that, I get my commission separately from the builder who bought it. He makes his plea to the code enforcement building people, and he's well known in the county and the work that he does. So they said, okay, you put in for permits on this. When we give you permits, we will stay this order of demolition.
That's fair.
So he did. And there were a few people in the neighborhood. I'm not going to say how many, but they were a very small number who were mad at me because they wanted to see that house torn down. They were so mad. They wanted to see that thing turned into just a field. Seriously. Well, that didn't happen. So they were mad about that. Sorry, things happen. He came in and he brought in, now this is now 2020. And then, that's when good old COVID struck. So we had all kinds of fun with that. He spent 6 months on that house. He wound up just about practically gutting it, put brand new floors in, walls, ceilings, everything, redid a lot of the framing and supports, took out the entire septic system, put in a brand new septic system, put in new ductwork for the HVAC, new everything outside. He spent about $200,000. He spent
staircase, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, just checking.
He was able to. I couldn't believe it either. He said that it was a beautiful staircase. It still is now.
Well, I have a picture in my mind of the staircase, so I was getting a little attached to it. So I'm glad it got saved.
It went in and then went up and around and then went to a landing, and it was one of these things you could take just beautiful pictures. I mean, I can imagine seeing a daughter, coming down in her wedding dress, for her wedding day. Just, that hits me because we got 2 daughters. Anyway, yeah, saved that and wound up probably all told about 250 in, sold it for 350.
And everybody wins.
Almost. Now, here's the people that didn't win.
The grumpy neighbors, they won. They got a better comp in their neighborhood.
Yeah, after the fact. Prior to this happening, the next door neighbor, years before this happened, tried to get a HELOC. They were denied. When they were assessed, the assessor said, you barely have enough in this right now to cover your mortgage. There's hardly any equity because of what's next door.
Oh.
If we try to sell this property, we're not going to get what you're asking us to loan you. The people across the street to the left from this house, they tried to sell their house and could not. They had to leave. They wound up selling it for just what they had in it. They lost $100,000 worth of equity for their house. The woman who I first talked to, she was not wanting to sell her house. They were moving to Kentucky. Originally, she'd been given a CMA, if you will, price of $270,000. I told her, with this fixed, okay, what you're looking at from the rest of all of these things in the past, it's because of economic depression. This house across from you was depressing the entire neighborhood.
Right.
And so she wound up selling. I told her, I would guess, without doing too much more, I'm saying your house should be worth around 310. So she got friends of friends to list it for her. And these are these two beautiful young women who work as a team. I call them the Squirrel Sisters. I think you'll understand what that means. Squirrels finding a nut, even blind ones. Anyway, they listed it at 325, and you know how that works. And you overlist the house. And so she kept coming back to me, asking me, what do I do? But I said, you signed with another realtor. I can't help you anymore. If you had signed with me, I'd be able to tell you exactly what to do and what you shouldn't have done already. She didn't like that answer, but I couldn't do anything more. But she did sell for $311,000. I was off by $1,000.
Or close.
Yeah. So, but then in 6 months, okay, looking at 3 different properties close to this, that was over $200,000. Okay, that people had lost because of the depression that this house affected with them. And this house had been abandoned for 15 years. First 5 probably weren't so bad, but the last 10, people sold and bought houses in that neighborhood. And
Right.
I am absolutely positive that their prices reflected the depression that house was causing. Without a doubt, if I had enough time and really wanted to do it, I could find that neighborhood lost $1 million easily. In 15 years, that house was like that.
Well, what it boils down to is the perseverance of an agent who's getting restarted. When you don't have a big book of business, you may as well run down the rabbit hole and do all the research. Then it turns into the dog chewing on a bone of, I can't let this go, because you had to solve it. You obviously got that persistence in mind to solve it. Then you look at the end of the story and how long the after effects have been going on. So if you're watching and listening to this and you've got an eyesore house in your area, if you can't do like Mike and chase it all the way down every rabbit hole, hire somebody who can, because I love that point of what the impact actually looks like. And I wish that our local planning and zoning and county officials on all our levels understood that this has nothing to do with what the public perception of realtors is. Everybody looks at us like we're super greedy and we're just getting paid for nothing. But the work that you did to help solve this problem, not just for the neighborhood, but for the guy who obviously had blocked it out of his mind and moved on with life and didn't think about it anymore, but it was about to become a financial burden. You solved it for him. You solved it for the neighbors. You solved it for the builder, who obviously has that redemption mindset about houses. And I love that so much, because my heart breaks every time I go by an old, beautiful home that was obviously crafted a long time ago, and then it just deteriorated. So I love that there's that redemption factor there, which all y'all should know, like, nothing's ever unsalvageable if you got the right mindset about it. It might cost money, but there's always a little redemption story there. So Mike, if anybody wants to reach out to you to talk about real estate in Pitt County, North Carolina, Greenville, Eastern Carolina, or just to talk to you about petitions and how do you go about the process, if you would want to have somebody reach out to you to help get some feedback, how can they find you best?
Mike Sells ENC. I'm at gmail.com. I'm on Facebook, Mike Sells ENC. That's an easy thing to find me with. There's one last caveat I'd like to add to this. When the builders came in, they went upstairs to where the bedrooms were. And I mentioned before, he had 2 young girls. Found pictures.
Oh,
They found all the little awards that they had, their little statues from the sports and whatnot. They packed it all up into 2 big suitcases. Tracked down the girls. One was at NC State. I keep wanting to say Greensboro, but I don't think so. It's somewhere around there. And the other was married and living with family. So the college girl came and met him in a parking lot, and she had this little car, and she said, "Well, I'll just come and get and put it in my car." He was there in his big pickup truck, and he goes, "No, it's not going to fit in your little car." She said, "What do you?" She went and looked at it, and she broke down in
oh,
tears. her daddy had told her that all that stuff was lost. Everything was gone. All the memories from their childhood disappeared. There were pictures of her and her sister, her and her mother, and like I said, all of her awards and stuff like that. He followed her home in his truck, and she got all of her stuff back. Her and her sister had a big cry over it. And
Well, in her dad's mind, it had been lost, but what a beautiful builder mindset to not just put it in the dumpster, but to say, you know what, somebody somewhere might want this. Because if she didn't want it, he then could have put it in the dumpster, but he gave her a chance.
it was somebody's memories that he tried to save, and he did.
Oh, I love that. That is a good little way to wrap that story up. All right, friends. If you want to talk to Mike about Eastern North Carolina, all of his contact information is in the show notes for this episode. And as you flip away to your next podcast or your next appointment today, just remember everything, including you, can be redeemed if you just pour into it. And make sure you hit the bell to subscribe. Say something nice about Mike in the comments or something about something you'd like to tell us about, and we'll see you next time.
By the way, friends, don't miss my brand new coaching program at answers.realestate, where you can have access to Leigh Brown, submit your questions, have them answered, meet like-minded professionals, have an entire library to help you build your business no matter what happens in the market. Get signed up today. I promise you'll be glad you did. As always, I'm so super thrilled that you joined in for more crazy shit. And if you're a realtor, investor, inspector, lender, or just a regular human being who happens to have an unbelievable story that you need to tell the world about, or frankly, you just need to one-up the story you just heard, then make sure to DM me on Instagram at Leigh Thomas Brown, or tweet me at Leigh Brown, or frankly, any social network where you hang out. I'm there. And if you had some fun, then you totally want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.